is to help you to recover the dream. During these times in your life, you need instruction, you need a vision, you need a plan. And here it is. Daniel said to the king, and here it is in Daniel 2 and verse 14. Here's what Daniel said. He answered with counsel and wisdom to Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, which was gone forth to slay the wise men of Babylon. He answered and said to the king's captain, why is the decree so hasty from the king? Then Arioch made the thing known to Daniel. Verse 16 says, then Daniel went in and desired of the king that he would give him time and that he would show the interpretation to the king. Now I want to take a pause for a minute to help you understand something. Notice that after the king had given his decree, which was done in secret, Daniel had no idea this was taking place. The people of the kingdom did not know this was taking place. This was a meeting held in secret or in council with the king during his private time, which he made this decree known to the high-level associates or the high-level people in his kingdom. And Daniel, though he was an overseer, was not at the time high level. He didn't have knowledge about this thing. Although he was a prophet of God, although he understood how to discern the times, he too had to have someone on the inside that he knew, and that's the key to having a dream fulfilled. First, you need information from someone on the inside. Daniel had the privilege out of everyone in his network to know someone who was very close to the king. It said that Daniel knew the king's captain. He and the king's captain were good friends, if you would call that. And the king's captain had concern for Daniel. When he had heard this thing, when he had heard that the king wanted some information that couldn't by any means naturally be done, that no one could read minds, that no one could know what this man had slept on and dreamed about or been thinking about for so long. But that when he heard that he would put all of the wise men to death if they could not produce the answer, his concern was for Daniel. So after this meeting with the king, the captain, who was named Arioch, came immediately to Daniel and told him what had happened during that meeting. Now, this was the king's captain who was in charge of putting the men to death. And he instantly thought, if I have to kill these men, then I have to also kill my friend Daniel. Or I have to have him killed. Maybe perhaps he wouldn't have done it himself, but he would have ordered his men who were under him to kill the other wise men. And so Daniel had a friend high up who was the captain Arioch. And so here it is. Arioch, as a good friend, came to Daniel and told him this information that he needed. And Daniel said back to the king's captain, hold on, give me some time. Go back to the king and ask him, would he give me time? And Arioch, who was close to the king, he was his captain, allowed Daniel to come in and request that time from the king. And so the king gave him time. Verse 17 says, then Daniel went to his house and made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions. Now these, if you're familiar with the story of Daniel at all, maybe perhaps you're not, you're not, these were Daniel's three friends who were also known as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That is a story that happens later on in the chapter. These three men, whose real names were Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, were renamed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego because they also served as wise men or sages in the kingdom of Babylon under this king named Nebuchadnezzar. And Daniel, after receiving this information from Arioch, the captain, and going in and having a request for time to speak to the king, and the king granting him time, Daniel then went back to his house and told his friends in his network, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, who were also called Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who were, you may be familiar with the story, as I said, of them being thrown into the fire and God saving them from the fire. That's a later story we'll share later. Now pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you, because this is about your dream being fulfilled. Notice how Daniel received the information from the king, who had a secret council against all of the men who were under him. He had a friend on the inside who came and shared back this information with him. And then Daniel, because he knew a friend on a high level, went in and got his request made to the king. And then Daniel didn't keep that information to himself to save himself. He went back and told people who were on his level about what was about to happen. Now this is your key here. Pay close attention. Daniel 2:18 says that they, meaning Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, would desire mercies of the God of heaven. I'm going to read that again. It says that they, meaning Daniel and his friends, would desire mercies of the God of heaven concerning this secret, that Daniel and his fellows should not perish with the rest of the men of Babylon. Now here it goes. The information that's being shared to you today, right now, the information that you know from friends on a higher level, the information that you have concerning what's about to happen, you need to share that information with people on your level, people in your network, people in your contact, people inside of your group, your friends, people close to you, maybe some close family, that regardless of whatever happens to everybody else, notice that it says that Daniel and his friends should not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. That means it's going down. What's about to happen is going to happen. But that when it happens, that you and your family will be safe. You and your friends will be safe. You and your network of friends, your close ones, your loved ones, your companion, your spouse, your children, your family, your mom and dad, your sisters and brothers, your kids, they will be safe when what's about to happen in the kingdom happens to everybody else. Did you get that? It says that they would desire mercies. Their key was desire. They went in and prayed to God. They asked that they would receive mercy, that they could not produce such a thing, to know what somebody had dreamed, that what was happening to them on their job was unfair to them, that, to put it in modern terms, because I don't know, maybe you feel like sometimes your boss is going to kill you. Hopefully you don't feel that way about him. You don't feel that way about your boss, do you? Or someone on a high level. Maybe you're not clicking with them in a certain way. Let me share this with you. It says in Daniel 2:19 that then was the secret revealed unto Daniel in a night vision. Then Daniel blessed the God of heaven. What happened was Daniel took this information. Now follow the steps. One, that someone was on a high level was having a secret meeting. Number two is that someone from the high meeting had fellowship with Daniel. Number three is that he told that information to Daniel. Number four, Daniel went into the king because he knew this high-level friend and got his request for time. And number five, Daniel went back and told that information to a friend, and they all had. And number six, they all had to pray about it. That's what happened. That's what happened to Daniel. And it says, then Daniel blessed the God of heaven. God showed him in a dream what to respond. Now, we're not going to go through the whole chapter. I just want to share that with you to help you to understand this, is that prayer is very important. Prayer is essential.